On voit toute la tête comme ça. Ça va Mathieu?
Et tu pourrais trop faire des zooms, tu pourrais faire un truc totalement freestyle et faire des zooms sur des personnes.
Ouais. Moira, tu pourras mettre la carte? Ok, merci.
Prenez place. Il y a de la place devant. Il y a de la place devant si vous voulez vous installer. Voilà, vous voyez à mon air réjoui encore une fois que je suis très content d'être avec vous ce soir et très content d'accueillir dans la programmation culturelle Imhof et Bojan Sarjevic qui a eu la gentillesse de contacter Anne pour qu'elle puisse venir échanger avec vous ce soir. Donc, je ne vais pas prendre la parole plus longtemps, je vais confier la parole à nos deux protagonistes et vous allez apprendre beaucoup de choses sur un travail qui est extraordinaire, une sorte de travail qui se situe entre l'étrange cauchemar, hanté, quelque chose qui est assez indéfinissable et qui fait la particularité du travail. Un travail qui mixe tout, sérigraphie, vidéo, danse, performance, un travail assez indéfinissable et que l'on va essayer de définir avec vous. Voilà.
Bonsoir, merci d'être venus aussi nombreux. Je suis très heureux d'accueillir parmi nous ce soir Imhof pour une présentation de son travail et une brève discussion. J'espère aussi que nous aurions des questions à répondre venant de votre part. Alors pour commencer, je dirais sans aucune hésitation que Imhof a créé une des œuvres les... Alors, je dirais sans aucune hésitation qu'Imhof a créé une des œuvres, sans doute, les plus impressionnantes et audacieuses de la dernière décennie. En même temps, on pourrait dire de manière paradoxale, Imhof est une artiste émergente. Si on se tient à la convenance de nommer les artistes émergents comme ceux ayant une pratique de moins de 10 ans. Et ce va-et-vient entre une pratique émergente, entre guillemets, et une œuvre encore à ses premiers avènements, mais dont l'impact est vraiment immense, je trouve que c'est plutôt exceptionnel dans le cas d'Anne. Je vais rapidement évoquer quelques lignes de son parcours. Elle est née en 1978 à Gießen, en Allemagne. Après le lycée, entre 2000 et 2003, elle s'inscrit à la fac pour étudier la communication visuelle dans la ville de Offenbach. Ensuite, elle a des petits boulots ici et là. Elle joue dans un groupe de rock. Elle travaille comme videur à l'entrée d'une boîte de techno de grand renom dans la même ville d'Offenbach. Et c'est précisément là qu'elle va être marquée, qui va beaucoup marquer son intérêt pour des comportements codés et des langages clandestins des groupes, tels que utilisés par les portiers ou les groupes des pickpockets, où des efforts collectifs et personnels sont transposés à un mouvement précis. En 2008, elle a 30 ans et elle décide de s'inscrire aux Beaux-Arts de Francfort, à la Spätschule. Elle étudie sous le mentorat de Judith Hopf et elle termine ses études en 2012. Dans les 5 ans à venir, s'ensuit une période charnière et à travers seulement quelques expositions institutionnelles, elle articule une œuvre déjà assez singulière. Sa première exposition personnelle dans une institution se tient en 2013 à la Porticus de Francfort avec la pièce Parade. En 2014, elle est en résidence à Paris, à la Cité des Arts, où est-ce que conçoit et développe l'exposition Deal pour le PS1 de New York. En 2016, un travail sur un opéra en trois parties qui s'intitule Angst, et c'est vraiment ce travail-là qui va construire la fondation pour ce qui va suivre. Le premier acte a eu lieu à la Kunsthalle de Basel, le deuxième, Angst 2, à la Hamburger Bahnhof de Berlin, et le troisième à la Biennale de Montréal, le MAC. En 2017, elle représente l'Allemagne à la Biennale de Venise, où elle obtient le Lion d'Or pour le meilleur pavillon, et avec la pièce et l'installation, la performance et l'exposition qui s'intitule Faust. Et cette pièce-là va susciter beaucoup de controverses dans le monde de l'art. La dernière exposition en date est celle de 2019 à la Moderne Kunst de Galerie à Londres, qui s'intitule Sexe, qui va ensuite voyager au MCA de Chicago. Alors je voudrais profiter de cette occasion pour vous inviter à venir ce dimanche au Musée d'art moderne de la ville de Paris, où Anne et Lisa Douglas vont présenter un concert qui s'intitule Fait Music. C'est ce dimanche à 17h. Vous serez bienvenus. Et gratuit. Aussi, d'ailleurs, je veux profiter de cette occasion de... En fait, ça me fait penser aussi que malheureusement à Paris, nous, on n'a pas eu cette chance encore de voir une exposition d'Anne, et j'espère que les bons esprits des institutions vont nous entendre et vont remédier à cela. Alors, si vous avez eu cette chance de voir une de ces performances qui durent en moyenne entre 4 et 6 heures, vous avez remarqué que ce dont on témoigne est d'une chose plutôt exceptionnelle et incontournable. Tout d'abord, on se trouve saisi par l'acuité viscérale des images, saisi encore par l'ingéniosité et la synthèse qu'elle fait entre la musique, la mode, l'architecture, la danse, la performance, le dessin. En d'autres mots, on est profondément affecté par l'invention de la forme d'exposition. On pourrait dire aussi que l'exposition d'Anne s'apparente à un miroir qu'elle dresse face au spectateur, devant lequel on est pétrifié et fasciné par cette image qui nous est envoyée. Les performances nous frappent de stupeur et nous transpercent par ces observations envoûtantes sur l'érotisme, le consumérisme, la communication interindividuelle, les dynamiques du pouvoir et les codes secrets qui les lient. Les sculptures, par contre, les objets ou l'environnement qu'elles créent, sont paradoxalement à la fois des choses autonomes et opérationnelles. Elles structurent les relations et les mouvements des interprètes et des spectateurs. Imhof, tout simplement, arrive à transcender l'esthétique et le vocabulaire de la performance en tant que discipline établie. Ces performances sont construites d'ailleurs comme des ensembles d'images mentales, où les performeurs passent d'une image construite à une autre sans une trame écrite. Et cette façon de créer une performance en partie structurée, en partie improvisée, n'est pas due à une technique ou une méthodologie, mais c'est le fondement conceptuel de sa pratique. En bref, pour résumer en quelques mots, Anne met en scène les formes visibles et transactions relationnelles, telles que le désir et la dépendance. Elle évoque les structures de pouvoir, les codes secrets et les règles inexprimées qui servent de base aux interactions et représentations sociales. Dear Anne, thank you for joining us tonight. We are very happy to have you, and we are also quite impatient to hear you speak. Veuillez accueillir Anne Imhof.
Thank you, dear Bojan, for that quite extensive introduction. And thank you, École des Beaux-Arts, students and teachers and the heads of the school for having me here. It's like, it's really great pleasure and honor. I'm quite nervous also. It's something very special to speak in front of people that want to become artists or are artists themselves. So it's a pleasure, and I'm nervous as well. I'm also like apologizing for not speaking this in French. Like I heard Bojan doing that introduction. I heard techno, which is like, I think, techno in German. So I could guess what you're speaking about. I also like got your introduction about some of the works I did in the past, and I was surprised you also like did point out on the earlier pieces. We spoke about, and like Bojan asked me to speak about or show images of pieces that are like that are from the very beginnings of my work. So when I still a student, which is of course a bit vulnerable. It's like the time of trying out and of doing a lot of stuff yourself that you are sometimes good at, sometimes not so good at yet, or not good at. And it's like also like for me, like a journey myself to go back and look at it and see that. So I prepared like chronologically like the two latest works that I did, and want to start with a work that Bojan mentioned. That was my participation in the Venice Biennale 2017. I think these two works I will introduce with a couple of drawings, installation shots, a few of the performance views of the pieces, both like Faust and then Sex, and then show you a couple of seconds of video material that was going alongside this. I do this very fast. I just wanted to have an introduction. I know that Bojan was going for a more dialogue in between us, which I find myself quite interesting format for this. I prepared those two pieces and then went a bit in the past. I will do that very fast, and then Bojan can ask me a couple of questions. I stopped when we met each other. Actually, we met during my show at the Kunsthalle de Basel 2016, I guess, when Elena Filipovic was curating the show Angst. And it was the second iteration of that piece that I called an opera that was like shown in Kunsthalle de Basel as well as in Hamburger Bahnhof. So, enough talk. Now is this. As you can see, this is a floor plan of the German pavilion. For me, the invitation of the to be doing a national pavilion was quite a surprise. I thought like artists from the age of 50 or 60 we could have a chance. I was teach something else, and I started with working on a project with quite a large group of people. The drawing shows the first sketches of thinking about viewers, like where do people come in, what is closed in the building, where are spaces that open up to the public and where are spaces that are closed from the public, that you can see with the red lines on either side of the pavilion and the porticos in the front and in the back of it. There you can see a front view of the German pavilion. I closed the porticos of it with glass in order to create a kind of passage towards the door. I removed all the doors in the pavilion to show like how big and oversized to the human size these openings are. And I wanted the porticos to become an exhibition room again, instead of like only being the showing power and intervention to make the person who comes towards it smaller. You can always interrupt me. No, I just will go through it. There's this was the same view with the dogs performing in it. The floor was a glass floor that was doing horizontal in the pavilion on a height of 93 centimeters. So when you're on top of it, it's a little bit nauseous. You get a little bit nauseous. But there's still hard to relate. I wanted to create something that is like made out of glass. I was living in Frankfurt at that time, and I was looking a lot at the banks and towers where glass is used to separate. Separate in means of showing power as well. Like I wanted to tilt that surface to a horizontal. I think in the piece that was shown within the exhibition, these structures of power and also repression play an important role. And I think that was the most interesting for me to create two spaces that are one is on top, one is below. But with what we as a group of performers did inside, these like top and low were always questioned. You can see works and the rooms of the pavilion with paintings, sculptures. This is a couple of performance views. I worked with a team of 12 people. With some of them I did work very closely on the piece. Especially with Eliza Douglas, I did with her a large part of the music and conceived some of the scenes, like also on the Tai. She had a lot of impact on them. With Billy Bourtier, I did develop parts of the music, and Josh Johnson, who is like an amazing dancer. Franziska Egner helped a lot on the, what you can see here in the picture, did do a lot on the dramaturgy and on the movement part of the piece. I think it's important to point it out that like the piece would have been different with or without one of these people. It's like, I think an integral part of my work that I work in different mediums, but I'm not a master in these different mediums for sure, in every of them. So it is really important for me that certain people, that the work changes, that certain people come in or leave the work. And I think it is very, it was a way for me to like talk about it, to have them included in the presentation of the work, and also to admit that I'm in a way also dependent on them, as well as on people that believed in the work to an extent that they would be very generous in giving their own thoughts in it and their own artistic language, like devoted parts of their life to a work that has my name. Which is both, like, I think challenging for both parts, but as well as like kind of a, it's very encouraging and empowering.
Because I have a question, a very serious question, and exactly to what you were saying. Since you work with dancers and musicians, like artists who are in their own right,
Mm-hmm.
and they bring their own creative input into this collective piece, how do you deal with harmonizing everyone's requirement for acknowledgement? It's maybe a tough one.
Yeah, I think one of the major things that I had to learn is to let go of control, like, and give a voice to the others that are like that are doing the work with me. It's not very easy, I found, like, because of course I sometimes even see things that we develop different and do them out of very different reasons. So my motive is, might be different than the motive of a person that works with me that gives another part. So, like, let's say my idea of creating a performance piece is like to make an image in time. So I would think of it in a very different term than one of the dancers that works with me. I think in images in layers, and the time in between as my chance to make contradict myself in one what I see as one work, to have the ability to abstract with what is the most figurative, like the image in time that I can work with, where somebody else would think of it quite differently. That works with dance, for example. So I would like think of a dramaturgic, dramaturgic bow arch and peak in it, and like how to get from image A to image B, and really needed, for example, in Faust, there was a lot of that work was made by Eliza and Francisca, I think, to see what is there and what how can we keep attention up. And I couldn't have done the same work without their input on this.
But how concretely the negotiation happens? I mean, how is it like when you recognize a good suggestion, you go along, and I mean, there's no democratic process in this area.
I mean, there is like in a lot of like processes. I started with this work, as you said, with this exhibition in Frankfurt and with Parade. And at that time, a lot of people joined that were in my immediate environment, that were my friends. Of course, there's a democratic process, like underlying. It's when I develop, for example, ideas with them. It's like it's a very it is like talking back and forth. It's like mirroring back what is there in the room, and letting, like, I think there was a lot of work on trusting in that sense to let things happen. It grew more and more to a studio where we had to professionalize somehow very fast together. And I think we managed in a way to that they could keep their artistic practice or develop it further into something else, maybe that has also something to do with the work or nothing to do with the work. But also the idea of like a group creating together was more about like creating an environment where things could happen that were not judged in the very first place, that could be bad and good at the same time, and like to see what's happening and then to decide, okay, this is what I'm okay with performing as a performer. This is what me as the artist is okay with presenting as a piece in the piece.
But could they, for example, themselves say, I like it this way, I would like to have it like that, them as a performer or like as a dancer, say, unlike.
Yeah, of course, it's a process of very much working back and forth. Especially, I think some of them have a very different role than others. So I think also it's who becomes an important role in the work is like we work as a core team, like as a team of like 4 to 5 people, very close together. But then, for example, when Eliza Douglas joined the work, it was like the work also, for me, it opened up a lot of possibilities, and the work changed in many different ways, and it was essential for me to do certain things And even if it was being more courageous, that she came in. Like, let's say she enabled me to be more forceful with like having music and movement and painting shown in the same space. I think that was like one of the things that were also empowering. Like, on the same way, of course, you have that, I think in every artistic collaboration, also, especially when you work with something or somebody that is crucial to your work, it gives a part that can be there, but that also can be absent. So it is a very like a very integral part of my work. I think you have to always be aware that you have to somehow believe in yourself, but also like believe in the ones who are believing in you, and what can happen if like you join forces without trying to cut the other out where they are brilliant. I think it's like more seeing that in somebody else, and I think the voice that somebody else can have, it's like it's good to have the possibility to let the work. It's anyways, once you do a work and it's like Faust, for example, as a piece, it's my work, but I don't own it in the same way that I would say it's my piece. You know, like it's not mine anymore. It's done. Like people can think about it in the way they want. They can talk about it in the way they want. They can photograph it. They can do with the photographs whatever they want to a certain extent. But it is something that I had to learn how to let that go, I think. Good. Good. I'm going through those quickly, and we can have a chance later to talk about things in more detail. Those are 2 pages of my sketchbooks, basically, and it shows on the red parts. I sketched the German Pavillon. I sketched it so many times that time that it became very like fast. And it's like 2 images out of the piece, and the red parts indicate where the audience, where I thought the audience would be in certain scenes. And I think that's one thing that was developed in those pieces, that there was a certain, let's say you always imagine the future with those pieces a little bit, like, so you imagine how those 4 hours that you show the piece could look. And there's always the part of the audience is always one part that you cannot foresee, or you can think about it, and you can know what the architecture of the building would do, but you cannot foresee reactions or how this would go. So I try, like in this work, I think, like through the working with also structures or crowds, like having crowds in mind that come more from an underground and also like more music related audience. We came to work with things like, for example, thinking of mosh pits, thinking of like how fast the crowd could like go away or move away, or how would be the reactions, and therefore like created this kind of thing of a performer moving instead of like moving in front of the audience, like moving inside or with and how this could look like. So these sketches are about that. There you see like the Medusa is like was kind of a constellation of an image of the of a picture that resembled like kind of certain figures of the route in Gillico. Out of this, and this is one aspect that I think is very very crucial to art, is the music. And we made this record with music from Faust. This was me, Billy, Eliza, and Franziska mainly working on this. And Eliza wrote the main part of the live performed music in the piece, and Billy wrote a lot of electronic and orchestral arrangements for it. And so they're found on this record, which in a way was a little bit like for me, a step into something that I wasn't really aware when we started the process. So I decided to make an album, and then realized, okay, an album is not only like a documentation of music of a piece that was happening in Venice during the Venice Biennial. It's like kind of making an album, it's like looking what is happening when you have an album as a medium. Like the tracks became suddenly too long. All the songs were way too long because we always had the images with them. So we went into a studio, re-recorded the songs, redid the arrangements partly, and only a few of them are live recordings, like the Faust last song, for example, and the Suicide is Painless, which is like a cover of a Marilyn Manson song that was a cover of a Mandel song that was the theme of, I think, Match or something, the series is called. But it was sung by the whole cast of us, so it was a mixture out of both. And yeah, the album was released last month, and now it's there. And one of the songs of the album is here, and I would not play the whole piece. I have to. Out of time reasons, I stop here and show you the next track that is a live recording. In the video before that we saw right now, the sound is pretty rough. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I hope it's better with this one. The video before that Josh Johnson was performing, that was not the original music to this movement structure. He provides this as part of please. So this was a live recording of Faust. I think I would like to quickly introduce the work that I did this year. So it's the latest work. It's called Sex, and it was shown at the Tate Modern in London, and then the second part of it was shown at the AIC in Chicago, the Art Institute in Chicago. What you can see here is a floor plan of the tanks in London. That was the part of the Tate Modern where the piece and the exhibition was shown. You can get a little bit from this drawing. That's part of an architectural drawing. How the exhibition looked from above. So there were two mirrored spaces, round spaces that are called the tanks on the Tates. That I treated like in a way like with inverting them with each other. So there was one time a pier that was like reaching out into one of the tanks that you can see on the right side, like looking into a space that was also kind of evoking a landscape lookout. In the second of those spaces, in the mirrored one, you can see a smaller pier that was inaccessible for audience members and was basically for performers to perform on and to look out. What interested me was the aspect of distance, like also distance and height, and I thought the pier was like kind of a good object and also sculpture. It interested me a lot.
Is this like first impressions that you have from like a site specific site? Are they very important? Like I was wondering, what would be approach when you start a new piece? What would be the process for you?
It is. It's very. Like I haven't done so many like exhibitions like this to say, okay, it's always like that. But there's almost always like a kind of a feeling of what interests me. It's almost like, okay, there's a list of things that I make lists, and I make images, basically photographs that I put together, and I think a lot of the work is is based on this, that there is often like a floor plan involved, like I work with in the studio, like my studio is pretty small, so it's not a big enterprise, but then I work with other people together that, for example, that know how to build things, like the peers that know about architecture, and that also I often in the process in the very beginning create renders to give an impression of how it could look like in a space. It's like the same with
like an architect.
Yeah, like on the other hand, I make very rough sketches of drawings of people in the space. That have like there are certain constellations and things that interest me. Sometimes it's really also a very intimate and very free process. For example, that I fool around with Eliza in a way of that she's showing something I recorded on video, and like we develop something out of this that then becomes like one of the major elements in the movement structure of the piece. That can happen. For example, it's like me going on the street and singing a melody in a phone that then in the end becomes like a melody inside the musical score. That is like so, or Billy suggesting something like a multi-speaker system that then becomes like a ticking clock with a waltz beat, because I'm interested in waltzes to bring in. So in this piece especially, I was interested in like standardized, I was interested in making a waltz basically that would be performed in a way that could weigh the two people down, that would be slurry, that would be a pogo but a waltz. So I was like wanting to mix like ways of dancing, like pogo and slam dancing, with like very standardized dances. So first we had to learn waltzes, which was not easy. and then tango. Yeah, I mean, I'm making like basically the pieces that the Tate piece we made in a time I moved to Berlin. We didn't have a studio yet, so we rehearsed in our living room, which is kind of a big enough room, but we had to remove everything, and then they did the waltzes in there. Yeah, that's how it was started for this one. It became when it was like seen in the space a little different. One of the, for example, things that interested me was to work with sunsets, but to tilt them in a vertical. There you can see the space of one of the tanks already installed. This, like on the piers around this structure is padding. You can see it's like soft, and then the glasses of the barricades were like perforated, so they have holes inside them. This is like one of the gallery spaces that were like the next spaces next to the tanks. So there were works of mine inside, a series of works out of metal, like a series of paintings, a piece of mine on the left side and a piece of Eliza on the right side. That was part of the show, and then this is a view inside the gallery spaces. Works that I developed for this show. One of the sunsets. And a few of the performance works, so performance views, so you can see audience. dance performance. This is one of the waltzes seen from above. Eliza and Josh performing. Nikki, Josh, and Francis performing. One thing that was Josh performing. One thing that was new was that these like areas of access were very like strictly separated from each other, which gave me the possibility to make an image without audience being in between or involved. That was the major.
That's another thing I remember in Berlin. Actually, what struck me most, I mean, talking about audiences being part of the installation, being part of the show, is that like there's almost like a tension. You don't know who's a performer, and suddenly someone might react, and you feel almost involved by yourself, just being there. Mm-hmm. And the dramaturgy of that, the potentiality, I find it like so striking. That the audience is an element, an important element of the performance itself.
I mean, they become when they show up. No, but it is like always actually like.
But it's also the physicality of the audience. You know, when people say like, regardeur qui fait le tableau, it's like the eye, the work is in the beholder. But here it's the actual presence in the space of the bodies, and basically it was almost like felt to me like an invitation to join.
Yeah. I think the work is always like by itself already like there and almost like thinking by itself, being by itself, and then there's like if a viewer comes, especially in this work that is gone afterwards, there's a certain aspect of the image that is created in front of the viewer, and then the image that's created with the viewer. And I think what I find important in the work is that there's always like an image, and it is almost from a certain point of view, like the perfect viewpoint. And then you see like viewers in front of the viewer, so I would ask people to stand with their backs to look inside the image, because I know that like this perspective is created, but of course this, like, as I said, it's layers and it's in time it changes, and it's the viewer that was in front of the viewer is not there anymore in a second because he leaves, and then the viewer takes this and this happens, I think, and it's what is coming closer, what is like the viewer like is coming as close as they can get, and it's like I think part of the work, but I didn't anticipate that in choosing how I work or what was part of it. It was just like that I always dreamt of, this is images like, and you have them as an exhibition, you have them as like in a museum, and but then the aspect of that we, for example, when we do a piece, never rehearse it in that sense in the same way, that then we would perform it when the viewer is there, indicates that it is like very important for this kind of work. Because it's never, it's always different. And can, even if we try to repeat something exactly the same way, it would be always different. Sometimes like, I am interested in doing things like like twice, just after each other, because I'm kind of interested in how it looks. This is one of the movements of the piece. It's recorded in slow motion, so it's not that slow, but what was an integral part in the piece at the Tate Modern is the light. The light goes on and off. This specific performer had the motif of solitude with him, I think. So I wanted to create a character in there that is performing the loneliest of the loneliest that you could imagine. So it was it was him performing this, but like you can see with a lot of other movements in my work, they are often very basic movements of walking, crouching, standing, sitting. So we just try to do them in a specific way. There you can see, I think, how I try to work with shadows. See Sasha performing in Malasa. And the gateway from one of the spaces to another. And in this video you can get a little bit what was important to me with the light, that the image is taken away and it almost creates this. You miss really big parts of the movement. So, now to the audio.
Ça c'est un privilège parce qu'on va voir le travail qui précède en fait toutes les performances qu'on connaît en fait. It's almost like you never show these things.
No.
C'est la première fois qu'elle montre en fait. Je mets dans une exposition.
Once I showed them in a talk where I had to talk solely about music, but of course, like, to be asked to show the first things you've done in art school is what you get. So
I have a question for you. What kind of art student were you?
I was the one that was always too scared to show up.
You were never there.
No, but I had a big studio with I was at the time, I mean, I had a late start in school, in the art school before I did do an applied art school that was more based, I was doing photography, but then also going into music, so I spent some years with experimenting in music, playing in bands, and I honestly like to inscribe myself in Städteschule. It was a big deal for me. It was like also a very different scene. I was in a completely I was living in a commune by that time. I was boxing. I was like in a very different world. I had this like gym, half studio in my living room. So that was like very enclosed, and of course to show what I've done there the last like 5 years that were for me, I don't know if wasted or not, and to develop a self-esteem that was like enough to show a portfolio at least was like a huge challenge.
Sure. But what made the decision to go suddenly to art school?
I think it was a wish that I had for a long time, but then I think it was like I felt like a ticking bomb or something. Nobody had seen stuff that I had done at that time, and I wanted to learn. Like it was like for me, I wanted to see things. Yeah.
Do you remember what was your first aesthetical experience? I mean, priori to being an art student? Like, oh, that really mattered for you?
I was a lot in churches, like Catholic churches. Like I saw a lot of like Baroque, fake Baroque art in churches. I think that was my parents took me to Rome very early. I saw a lot of Italian churches from the inside. I think and then I went to, it's a long story, but to keep it short, I went to school in England, and I had a teacher, my teacher, who made me draw a lot of Michelangelo paintings, make copies of them, and I came always like with them overnight. I came in the morning. He said, "No, don't do that again." And I went back to him. I think he smelled that because I was an exchange student, and he like smelled by my character and what it was that I wouldn't stay that long. So he used the time that we had in the best possible way. So I think that was a very strong experience. Like the paintings he showed me, the paintings I had to copy, how I struggled with that, how he was making me think and see and feel. Yeah, I don't know how far we should go into this. But it's like,
as long as
I put a few things together that were music related.
Yeah, perfect. Just do it.
So in this time in Frankfurt that you were referring to before art school, I was playing music, and I was having the feeling I could play it because I didn't have the feeling of having the same kind of expectation towards me. I think I became really interested in noise music and experimenting with it. This is already like this is me performing with Billy Botil that I still work with in the parade piece, and it was basically at that time that we were doing this work about pickpockets. And at that time I was really interested in having the music really distinctly separated from the performance, from the movements. Like I didn't want to image and music to mix. So we played a concert before, like also back to back. We didn't even do the music together, all this like romantic stuff, and, like writing songs together was like not at all not at all on the table. So we played, like first I played my stuff, then he played his stuff, and then we were doing the piece. That was me performing in the Robert Johnson club that I was a bouncer in. Like horrible set. Like I did do this aliases of performing, like live performing aliases. I did a lot of like record covers that never went records in the end. That was like, so that was early music performances, early concerts that I then turned into these concerts with movement with people performing. I showed this especially because it's like, we went to a friend of mine did an exhibition when I was still in Sweden in a hotel in Detroit. It was called the Leland Hotel. And I still remember it very vividly because it was like kind of this hotel, former Grand Hotel, that then like turned into some kind of housing situation for people with low income, so people would buy themselves rooms there, and there was this like this room for dancers that was empty, where the first Preis der Nationalgalerie was like presented in former glory days, and now this hotel was more and more decaying, and there was this like there was this Gothic club in the basement, and this like music was constantly like hovering through the whole building. And the exhibition was there in this space. Basically, nobody showed up, so we performed like for ghosts. That was my concept for ghosts. So this is like
it's your first show.
This is the parade exhibition in Frankfurt that you were mentioning. I quickly go through these images now because I think it's nice to have a couple of questions. And this is like I took these images in because it's like a way of developing movement that we still do as a group. And this was during my stay in Paris, and it's like in the, I think it's in the Bois de Boulogne or in the Richemont, and it's like basically trying out certain movement structures with architecture. So it was like basically me developing the first movements in these spaces. And I was always working with photography, but also closely with a photographer who's called Nadine Flaczkowski, who's still like working very closely with us and closely like, especially in this process. So it's kind of, I found these images because you asked me for early images, but they are in a way very like, very much of an example for how it still is developed. We are also using photography very much to see if things work or not, if things like are...
So this is during your residence at Cité Bizarre.
Exactly. And I was doing a piece called Rage at that time, that is then, like here you see the same movements, like, but then performed for this piece, also for camera, in this area in Paris that is like close to one of the entries to the catacombs in the Petit Ceinture. And it's Franziska performing and Olga performing these movements of this piece called Rage. There was like a buttermilk becoming like kind of a supply in this piece that then later became also part of this sculpture that is was then like it's I was choosing this sculpture because it made a link in between this piece where the buttermilk became like more a prop that was hanging around and was like more about the outside of it, and then in the next piece this became more and more like a supply and something that was integral part of the piece. So here you can see the installation view of the MoMA PS1 in New York. That was the next show after this residency Paris, and I prepared it here, and so you can see how this like sculpture became part of that exhibition. And a few bronze views of this. something to do. This is performance installation views and performance views of iteration of Raj that was shown in an exhibition space in Milan. It's also a very self-organized exhibition, and we went there with a group of friends and performed it. So that we were getting these outfits by Pavillon with Juliana. We did everything too. No. But this is why we are in this like uniforms.
Now you look back at where you were when you started as an artist. Where do you think it was going to lead you? Looking back at where she was when she started as a young artist, what did she think where it was going to lead her?
I can't remember. I mean, it was so exciting, and so threatening. I think I was coping with that, like constantly. Not to be impressed, to find out what I was really thinking, which was also not very easy to at all have the courage to say, I'm going to do this exhibition, this, even if it was a drawing, even the idea of like a white paper or white canvas sometimes can be so intimidating that you have to make that proposal to yourself, or that contract with yourself, almost like you sometimes like live or die in these small moments, but it's like always, I knew somehow that I couldn't exist, was doing something else, and that it was like the only thing that was possible, and it had to be. That sometimes this was a very like driving force, but of course it's always like a blank, you're always at the beginning again, the beginning again. It's almost like when I remember when I went into this room in the Kunsthalle de Basel, I was visiting Elena. She was inviting me to show me something. So I was like going there. I didn't even like think of that I was invited to do a show there, because I didn't know about this process that you're invited somewhere and then somebody wants something from you. And Elena showed me the space and was saying, what do you think about the space? And I'm like, great space. Yeah. Coming in, like nice, so good for paintings, right? And she was like kind of, yeah, but about like doing something here. And I was like, cool, like I'm doing an opera. And it's called Angst, but I wasn't even like, I was still thinking she was joking, you know, like it was always, I was never very sure about the whole thing. Yeah. But I also, I think it's a very mixture of like, if you feel that things are really, like I knew that I had something like a relevance ticker for when things important.
It's interesting because also lots of work looks quite controlled, like to be in control. And this is where I was wanting to hear you. What do you think? How do you deal with doubt or the idea of failure as an artist?
I think that you have to trick yourself. Like you need to be doubtful because it's like makes the work good. What makes you start thinking is like if you have a question or a problem that is posed by yourself or posed by somebody else, but then it's form of their problem and it's not yours. So you have to find out what's yours, and then I think I'm always very was a person with like very low self-esteem, but a lot of fantasy. So you can like, or a lot of like, and somehow I'm able to dream things and then go in this direction. But of course, there's a lot of there's even there's a lot of like doubt there, because once you take others into consideration, and may it be the viewer, you're theirs, and it's you can't you can't have certainty. You can't have certainty if you're. I don't know. It's of course you can also doubt the doubt itself. That is a solution out of the dilemma.
I think we're running out of time, and I just have maybe a couple of minutes more if you want to go through images.
I think it's only this exhibition of the Kunsthalle de Basel. One of these pieces that are called like the exhibition title Angst is now in the Musée der Moderne, hanging in the exhibition of the Foundation. And these are the exhibition views of the Kunsthalle. Yeah, should we stop here? It's a good image.
I just have a couple of questions. I just speak closer to the mic for the last questions.
Sorry.
One thing I would like to talk with you about is love. I remember reading an interview from Felix González-Torres where he says how all his work he has done was basically for his lover, Ross. Where it would suffice for him that this one person would be his only audience.
Mm.
How important is it for you to represent and to involve people that are very emotionally close to you in your work?
Partly, like I think part of this question I answered before, that like that sometimes it's that the work changes when a certain person comes in the picture, and it's like it's became an integral part of the work. I think what is about love is very much that you're in a way you have it's quite similar actually to relationship to the work itself. Like you are you're very much like devoted, but also you're very much dependent, and you're very much like you can't be half in it. Or I think that's one of the things. If you really love, I think you have to prepare yourself to get lost or or not be there anymore. Maybe that's the only way to survive.
Thank you. Maybe you should ask if there's some questions in the audience.
Thank you. I have a question about this performance in particular. What is your relationship with opera, and why did you choose this form to create angst? Thank you.
That's a good question. I think it points very much like on one thing that I think for me when I got the invitations for the institutions, this work is like, I really didn't know what I was getting into, and it was like much larger than what I could think of. The only really, and I wanted to give that a name, and the only like really thing that was in that sense correlating with my idea of something that is presented in a society that has to do with a that was for me connotated with a high art, with an expectation of a high art audience. I wanted to put this almost as a question. So I was very well aware that I didn't do an opera in that sense, but I wanted to describe something that I didn't even myself know what it was yet. And I think then opera was the only term that described something to me where I could meet this, my unknown with this expectation that was meeting me suddenly. And then to get closer to describe that for me, I thought like, okay, what does an opera need? So like big things, a falcon, and a loggia, like to separate the ones who are important from the ones who are less important, or the ones who have more money to buy the tickets than the ones in the pit. But also it separates like in the first place the ones who are performing to the ones who are looking at the ones performing. So this was an element, and then what was the other? A voice. That was the other. What did you want to say?
No. Your personal relationship with opera. I mean, like, you're German, you know, so.
I mean, yeah, there are also like many amazing operas written for people who are not German. So, like Wagner, if you want to point out on Wagner, I've seen some Wagner pieces, like when I was invited by the Whites to make a contribution to a German newspaper. I can tell you that anecdote because it's like one of the few anecdotes that I have concerning opera. And I came to Bayreuth and like was experiencing the Wagner festival the first time, which was like impressive in many ways. It also created some kind of uncanniness in myself, like being in that audience that was like feeling very different from myself in the first place, because it was like the rows were filled with the higher ranks of the German industry, so it was like on the one hand you say, wow, he not so much changed in here, and on the other hand the music was beautiful, but I experienced this as much as being suddenly a listener of both of Wagner and of the like voice in my head saying, weird, somehow don't belong. On the other hand, it's like, yeah, maybe that's.
The last one. What advice would you have for very young artists?
Oh wow. An advice, like a serious one. Okay, so no, like it's basically like I think advice would be like be very aware of things, like try to believe in yourself. Try to be your own clown, like make fun of yourself, and then have the ability to take yourself very serious because you know how to make fun of yourself. It's also like it's hard to get over doubts. The things you asked me for, I think, for a reason, because here we are, and to believe in yourself in the end in what you do. I mean, you have to feel some kind of strength in you, and you can feel the weakness at the same time, but you have to also listen to the people that believe in you, like to be able to get there, I think. Yeah, try to think about what you want your name to be associated with, protected. I think that's also one thing.
Thank you. Merci.
Ça avait pas ta traductrice actuelle.